Picture yourself sprawled on a reed mat atop a Babylonian ziggurat. Circa 1800 BCE, the air thick with the scent of sesame oil, dust, and the faint whiff of a priest's overdone myrrh. The stars twinkle above, but the astrologer's muttering about omens, like he's decoding a cosmic grocery list. Fast forward to a Greek hillside, 400 BCE, where a philosopher's squinting at the heavens, debating whether Aries means love or a bad goat day. Babylonian and Greek astrology, the granddaddies of horoscopes, were a mix of math, mysticism, and hope I don't anger the gods. These stargazers, scribbling on clay or papyrus, turned constellations into life advice, often with results as reliable as a sandal in a sandstorm. We're not here to predict your future. Check your local oracle for that. But to chuckle at their starry-eyed antics, wrapped in the hum of ancient nights. So fluff your imaginary cloak, ignore the distant bleat of a goat, and let the rustle of reeds, the flicker of a lamp, and their celestial chatter lull you into a cozy, amused snooze. We're diving into 10 facets of forgotten astrology, each a peek into the star-struck, slightly confused world of Babylonians and Greeks. From ziggurat rooftops to Athenian stoas, we'll wander through their cosmic obsessions, savoring the scent of incense, the clink of clay tablets, and the sheer audacity of reading fate in a twinkling sky. These practices were part science, part guesswork, and all let's hope the king doesn't fire me. Grab a mental goblet of wine, settle in, and let's giggle our way through the forgotten astrology of Babylon and Greece. Each one a sleepy, snarky gem. Imagine lounging atop a ziggurat in Babylon, 1800 BCE, the air heavy with the scent of clay, myrrh, and the faint whiff of a scribe's sweaty tunic. A priest astrologer's muttering over a clay tablet, squinting at stars like they owe him money. The air's buzzing with the scratch of a stylus, the clink of oil lamps, and the distant hum of a temple chant. Cuneiform tablets like Enuma, Anu, Enlil reveal Babylonian astrology as a cosmic warning system, predicting floods, wars, or the king's goat will eat his crown. Let's slip into this starry chaos, letting the flicker of a lamp, the whiff of incense, and their ominous scribbles make you chuckle as you drift toward sleep. Babylonian astrology was state-run, with priests tracking stars for divine messages. A comet might mean famine incoming, while a bright Venus signaled good barley harvest per tablets in the British Museum. The priest etching predictions probably muttered, "Hope I got that eclipse right, or it's my head." Kings relied on these omens, the air thick with the drone of prayers and the smell of wax, making every starry night a high-stakes gamble. Life around this was intense. Temples buzzed with scribes recording star signs, the air heavy with the clink of clay and the scent of oil. Priests, dodging royal wrath, consulted stars for everything, their voices tense, the air warm with the rustle of reeds and the effort of pleasing gods. Citizens, hearing predictions, whispered about bad moon vibes, the air thick with the smell of beer and the murmur of hope it's not doom. The community loved the drama, snickering over stew about a priest's starry flub, the air thick with fumes and the kind of laughter you get when fate's a constellation. Omens were a hustle, and as the ziggurat fades, let's shift to Greek stargazers, who added philosophy to the mix. Picture yourself perched on an Athenian hillside, 400 BCE, the air warm with the scent of olive oil, dust, and the faint whiff of a philosopher's unwashed chitin. A stargazer's arguing whether Venus means love or a bad fishing day, his voice drowned by crickets. The air's buzzing with the scratch of a stylus, the rustle of papyrus, and the distant strum of a lyre. Greek texts, like Plato's Timaeus, show astrology as a philosophical puzzle, with stars guiding souls or just confusing everyone. Let's saunter into this wordy cosmos, letting the flicker of a torch, the whiff of myrrh, and their lofty debates make you snicker as you sink toward slumber. Greek astrology, influenced by Babylon, mixed math with metaphysics. Stars weren't just omens, but cosmic blueprints, per Aristotle's musings, guiding fate or at least sparking arguments. A philosopher might say, Mars means war, then debate it for hours, the air thick with the drone of voices and the smell of ink. Athenians, eavesdropping, probably muttered, "Just tell me if I'll get rich." Predictions were more art than science, the air tense with the rustle of scrolls and the hope of clarity. Life around this was lively. Stoas hummed with starry debates, the air heavy with the clink of coins and the scent of wine. Philosophers, dodging skeptics, scribbled star charts, their hands busy, the air warm with the rustle of cloaks and the effort of sounding wise. Citizens at festivals whispered about Venus' bad mood, the air thick with the smell of olives and the murmur of "What's my fate?" The community loved the chatter, snickering over bread about a philosopher's starry flop, the air thick with fumes and the kind of laughter you get when stars spark arguments. Debates were a spark, and as the hillside fades, let's shift to Babylonian zodiacs, where animals rule the sky. Imagine sprawling on a rooftop in your 1000 BCE, the air heavy with the scent of dust, sesame, and the faint whiff of a camel who's wandered too close. A scribe's pointing at stars, claiming a scorpion means trouble's brewing. The air's buzzing with the clink of clay tablets, the rustle of reeds, and the distant chant of a priest. Cuneiform texts, like those from Shurbanipal's library, show Babylonians crafting a zodiac with animals like scorpions and bulls, turning the sky into a cosmic zoo. Let's dive into this starry menagerie, letting the flicker of a lamp, the whiff of clay, and their animal antics make you chuckle as you drift toward sleep. The Babylonian zodiac, or mul.apin, assigned stars to creatures, each tied to omens. A lion might mean king's victory, while a crab signaled flood risk, the air thick with the scratch of stilly and the smell of wax. Scribes, squinting at the sky, probably muttered, "Hope I didn't mix up the bull and the goat." Kings and farmers alike hung on these signs, the air tense with the rustle of tablets and the hope of good news. Life around this was chaotic. Cities buzzed with zodiac talk, the air heavy with the clink of jars and the scent of beer. Scribes, dodging angry clients, etched predictions, their hands steady, the air warm with the drone of prayers and the effort of reading stars. Citizens at markets whispered about that bad scorpion, the air thick with the smell of barley and the murmur of what's next. The community loved the drama, snickering over stew about a scribe's crab mistake, the air thick with fumes and the kind of laughter you get when the sky's a zoo. Zodiacs were a craze, and as the rooftop fades, let's shift to Greek zodiacs, where stars got personal. Picture yourself lounging in an Athenian agora, 300 BCE, the air warm with the scent of olives, dust, and the faint whiff of a vendor's fishy wares. A stargazer selling zodiac predictions, claiming Taurus means stubborn, love life. The air's buzzing with the clink of coins, the rustle of tunics, and the murmur of tell me more. Ptolemy's Tetrabiblos shows Greeks adopting the zodiac, personalizing stars for daily life. Let's wander into this cosmic market, letting the flicker of a torch, the whiff of myrrh, and their starry sails pitch make you snicker as you sink toward slumber. Greeks, borrowing from Babylon, turned the zodiac into personal horoscopes per Ptolemy. Aries might mean bold warrior, while Pisces signaled dreamy sailor, the air thick with the scratch of papyrus and the smell of ink. Stargazers reading charts probably muttered, "Hope this guy's not a Virgo, they're picky." Citizens bought predictions like hotcakes, the air tense with the rustle of scrolls and the hope of a lucky day. Life around this was bustling. Agoras hummed with zodiac chatter, the air heavy with the clink of drachmas and the scent of wine. Astrologers, dodging skeptics, drew charts, their hands busy, the air warm with the drone of haggling and the effort of selling fate. Citizens at feasts whispered about Leo's bad week, the air thick with the smell of bread and the murmur of what's my sign. The community loved the buzz, snickering over olives about a stargazer's wrong star, the air thick with fumes and the kind of laughter you get when your fate's a fish. Horoscopes were a hit, and as the agra fades, let's shift to Babylonian rituals, where stars met sacrifice. Imagine huddling in a Babylonian temple, 1500 BCE, the air heavy with the scent of incense, blood, and the faint whiff of a priest's singed robe. A ritual's underway with an astrologer sacrificing a sheep to appease a grumpy Mars. The air's buzzing with the bleat of livestock, the clink of knives, and the chant of prayers. Tablets, like those in Enuma, Anu, Enlil, describe rituals tying stars to sacrifices, ensuring the gods didn't smite the city. Let's slip into this gory cosmos, letting the flicker of a fire, the whiff of smoke, and their bloody rites make you chuckle as you drift toward sleep. Rituals per cuneiform countered bad omens, say, a dim Venus, meaning crop failure. Priests slicing sheep, read entrals with star charts, the air thick with the drone of chants and the smell of blood. They probably muttered, "Hope this sheep fixes the eclipse." Kings watched closely, the air tense with the rustle of reeds and the hope of divine favor. Life around this was intense. Temples buzzed with ritual prep, the air heavy with the clink of jars and the scent of myrrh. Priests, dodging angry gods, performed rites, their hands red, the air warm with the chant of hymns and the effort of pleasing Anu citizens. Hearing predictions whispered about that bad star, the air thick with the smell of beer and the murmur of hope the sheep worked. The community loved the spectacle, snickering over stew about a priest's slippery knife, the air thick with fumes and the kind of laughter you get when stars demand blood. Rituals were a chore, and as the temple fades, let's shift to Greek oracles, where stars met prophecy. Picture yourself in a Delphic cave, 500 BCE, the air heavy with the scent of laurel, smoke, and the faint whiff of a priestess's herbal inspiration. She's muttering starry prophecies, claiming the heavens predict victory, or maybe not. The air is buzzing with the clink of offerings, the rustle of cloaks, and the hum of supplicants. Texts like Herodotus' histories show oracles using stars for cryptic predictions, blending astrology with divine vibes. Let's dive into this vague cosmos, letting the flicker of a torch, the whiff of incense, and her foggy words make you chuckle as you sink toward slumber. Oracles per Pausanias used stars to spice up prophecies, with Apollo or Artemis speaking through constellations. A priestess might say Saturn warns of strife, leaving you guessing, the air thick with the drone of chants and the smell of laurel. Visitors offering coins probably muttered, "Can you be more specific?" Predictions were a gamble, the air tense with the rustle of robes and the hope of clear answers. Life around this was mystical. Shrines buzzed with starry talk, the air heavy with the clink of bronze and the scent of smoke. Priests, dodging annoyed clients, read stars, their voices cryptic, the air warm with the chant of hymns and the effort of sounding divine. Pilgrims, sharing wine, whispered about that vague oracle, the air thick with the smell of olives and the murmur of what did she mean. The community loved the mystery, snickering over bread about a prophecy's maybe, the air thick with fumes, and the kind of laughter you get when stars are unclear. Oracles were a puzzle, and as the cave fades, let's shift to Babylonian kings who bankrolled the stars. Imagine lounging in a Babylonian palace, 700 BCE, the air heavy with the scent of cedar, myrrh, and the faint whiff of a king's overdone perfume. An astrologer's briefing Nebuchadnezzar claiming a star signals victory or maybe a bad harvest. The air's buzzing with the clink of gold, the rustle of robes, and the murmur of better be right. Tablets, like those from Nineveh, show kings funding astrology to guide wars and crops, making stargazing a royal obsession. Let's slip into this regal cosmos, letting the flicker of a lamp, the whiff of incense, and their starry decrees make you chuckle as you drift toward sleep. Kings per Enuma, Anu, and Lil demanded star-based advice, with astrologers predicting everything from battles to reigns. A bright Jupiter might mean conquer Assyria, the air thick with the scratch of stille and the smell of wax. Astrologers, sweating under pressure, probably muttered, "Hope I read that star right." Wrong predictions could mean exile, the air tense with the rustle of tablets and the hope of pleasing the crown. Life around this was grand. Palaces hummed with starry reports, the air heavy with the clink of coins and the scent of cedar. Scribes, dodging royal tantrums, etched omens, their hands steady, the air warm with a drone of advisors and the effort of guiding kings. Courtiers sharing wine whispered about that risky prediction, the air thick with the smell of myrrh and the murmur of hope he's right. The community loved the stakes, snickering over beer about a scribe's starry flop, the air thick with fumes and the kind of laughter you get when kings bet on stars. Royals were demanding, and as the palace fades, let's shift to Greek mathematicians who crunched the cosmos. Picture yourself in an Alexandrian library, 200 BCE, the air heavy with the scent of papyrus, ink, and the faint whiff of a scholar's spilled wine. A mathematician like Hipparchus is scribbling star charts, claiming angles predict fate better than oracles. The air's buzzing with the scratch of a stylus, the rustle of scrolls, and the murmur of "got the math right?" Ptolemy's Almagest shows Greeks turning astrology into math, mapping stars with nerdy precision. Let's dive into this geeky cosmos, letting the flicker of a lamp, the whiff of wax, and their number crunching make you chuckle as you sink toward slumber. Greeks per Hipparchus measured star positions, tying them to horoscopes. A precise Saturn might mean bad business, the air thick with the drone of calculations and the smell of ink. Scholars squinting at charts probably muttered, "Hope I didn't misplace Venus." Their math impressed kings but confused farmers, the air tense with the rustle of papyrus and the hope of accurate fates. Life around this was brainy. Libraries buzzed with starry math, the air heavy with the clink of abacuses and the scent of dust. Scholars dodging skeptics drew charts, their hands busy, the air warm with the drone of debates and the effort of proving points. Citizens at markets whispered about that mathy star, the air thick with the smell of olives and the murmur of "what's it mean?" The community loved the nerdiness, snickering over wine about a scholar's wrong angle. The air thick with fumes and the kind of laughter you get when stars meet geometry. Math was a game changer, and as the library fades, let's shift to Babylonian omens, where stars warned of doom. Imagine sprawling on a Babylonian rooftop, 1200 BCE, the air heavy with the scent of clay, myrrh and the faint whiff of a priest's burnt offering, and astrologers pointing at a dim star, muttering, "That's a bad sign for the harvest." The air's buzzing with the clink of tablets, the rustle of reeds, and the distant bleat of a sacrificial goat. Cuneiform texts like Enuma, Anu, and Lil list omens tying stars to disasters from floods to invasions. Let's wander into this doomy cosmos, letting the flicker of a fire, the whiff of smoke, and their grim predictions make you chuckle as you drift toward sleep. Omens per tablets were astrology's backbone, with a red Mars meaning war's coming. Priests scanning the sky etched warnings, the air thick with the scratch of stilly and the smell of wax. They probably muttered, "Hope this star doesn't mean my job's toast." Kings acted on these signs, the air tense with the rustle of reeds and the hope of dodging doom. Life around this was tense. Cities buzzed with omen talk, the air heavy with the clink of jars and the scent of beer. Priests dodging angry rulers read stars, their hands steady, the air warm with the drone of prayers and the effort of calming fears. Citizens at markets whispered about that bad comet, the air thick with the smell of barley and the murmur of "we're doomed." The community loved the drama, snickering over stew about a priest's wrong star, the air thick with fumes and the kind of laughter you get when the sky spells trouble. Omens were a buzzkill, and as the rooftop fades, let's shift to Greek daily life, where stars guided the mundane. Picture yourself in a Greek village, 350 BCE, the air warm with the scent of olives, dust, and the faint whiff of a farmer's sweaty tunic. A villager's asking a stargazer if the stars favor planting or proposing. The air's buzzing with the clink of coins, the rustle of tunics, and the murmur of "what's my luck?" Texts like Hesiod's works and days show astrology guiding daily life, from sowing crops to wooing sweethearts. Let's saunter into this practical cosmos, letting the flicker of a lamp, the whiff of bread, and their starry tips make you chuckle as you sink toward slumber. Astrology per Ptolemy wasn't just for kings, farmers, and lovers used it too. A bright Venus might mean plant now or ask her out, the air thick with the drone of advice and the smell of ink. Stargazers reading charts probably muttered, "Hope I didn't mix up the crops in the crush." Villagers relied on these tips, the air tense with the rustle of papyrus and the hope of a good harvest or date. Life around this was busy. Villages hummed with starry chatter, the air heavy with the clink of tools and the scent of olives. Stargazers dodging annoyed clouds, sold predictions, their hands busy, the air warm with the drone of haggling, and the effort of guiding lives. Farmers, sharing wine, whispered about Venus' good vibes, the air thick with the smell of bread and the murmur of hope it works. The community loved the buzz, snickering over olives about a stargazer's bad crop call, the air thick with fumes, and the kind of laughter you get when stars guide your day. Daily life was starry, and as the village fades, let's wrap up with a final reflection, tying these cosmic quirks together with a smirk. When you stretch out on your bed today, phone glowing faintly on the nightstand, chances are you've scrolled past a horoscope or two. Maybe it was a Mercury retrograde survival guide. Maybe a meme reminding you that Pisces just cry in the shower. Or maybe a slick app that pinged you with Mars is in your 7th house, good luck with relationships. It's almost funny how little has changed in 3,000 years. Back in Babylon, star priests crouched over clay tablets by oil lamp glow, muttering about Venus and barley harvests. Today, influencers do the same, except the clay tablets are touchscreens, the oil lamp is LED backlight, and instead of kings, it's you deciding whether to text your crush based on Saturn's position. The ancient Babylonians built their whole system around omens, convinced that the stars carried divine messages. When Jupiter shone brightly, it wasn't a good week for career growth, but a royal order to march an army. Now we've shifted from kings to individuals, but the hunger for meaning hasn't changed. Modern horoscopes are softer, less life or death, but still full of be cautious this week warnings that echo the same vague tone. Ancient priests said dark moon means danger. Today, horoscopes say communication may be tense. Different words, same wink at human worry. It shows how deeply we still crave assurance when faced with the unknown. In Greek society, philosophy layered itself onto astrology, turning the stars into metaphysical puzzles. Plato and Aristotle asked whether the heavens were a blueprint for souls or simply a cosmic backdrop. They spent hours arguing whether stars guided fate, while ordinary Athenians whispered in the Agora, "So does Taurus mean I'll finally get that deal?" If you've ever sat through a modern podcast where skeptics debate astrology's scientific validity while millions of people still read horoscopes daily, you're living the same split. On one side, intellectuals insisting stars don't care about your love life. On the other, people clutching co-star app notifications like Greeks clutching scrolls. Philosophy never killed astrology. It just gave it more footnotes. The Babylonian Zodiac, their cosmic zoo of lions, scorpions, bulls, eventually slipped into Greece, then Rome, and then into your morning newspaper or TikTok feed. The Babylonian crab still clings as Cancer. The bull remains Taurus. Their symbolic animals have survived 3 millennia of empire collapse, papal disapproval, Enlightenment ridicule, and scientific revolutions, only to pop up on coffee mugs, Instagram reels, and dating profiles. The continuity is almost comic. Imagine a scribe and you're muttering, "This scorpion means doom," while today someone swipes left because, ooh, Scorpios are toxic. Both times, the poor scorpion never asked to be blamed. What's striking is that in both eras, astrology was democratized over time. In Babylon, it started with kings and priests hoarding the knowledge, because reading the sky could decide wars. Later, Greek astrologers sold horoscopes in the Agora for coins, bringing cosmic fate to the common crowd. Fast forward, and the same democratization happens digitally. Once, only professional astrologers drew natal charts with compasses and parchment. Now, anyone can generate theirs online in 30 seconds, complete with personality breakdowns. The same fascination that once trickled down from palaces to marketplaces now floods through app stores, memes, and which star sign are you? BuzzFeed quizzes. What was once elite is now entertainment. And just like in Babylon, astrology today is still tied to anxiety about the future. Back then, kings feared famine, war, or rebellion. Today, people fear job interviews, inflation, or romantic rejection. Both anxieties boil down to the same thing: uncertainty. Astrology steps in like a comforting, if unreliable, friend. Where a Babylonian might mutter, "The eclipse means the gods are angry," a millennial mutters, "Mercury retrograde is ruining my emails." In both cases, astrology provides a narrative that makes chaos feel patterned. It softens the edge of randomness, turning confusion into, "At least the stars have a reason." The rituals of Babylon sacrificing sheep to fix a bad star might seem brutal compared to your quiet ritual of lighting incense before checking a horoscope app. Yet the impulse is identical. Both are about control. When the stars spelled doom, Babylonians thought blood could balance fate. When a horoscope today says tough conversations ahead, you might cancel plans or adjust your mindset. Sheep entrails or mood crystals, it's the same human instinct. Bend the cosmos in your favor, however you can. Greek oracles, especially Delphi, were infamous for vagueness. You will win if you cross the river, or maybe lose. Today, horoscopes still master that art of ambiguity. New opportunities may bring challenges, is the modern twin of Apollo warns of change. Both are so open-ended they can fit almost anything, yet that's the genius. The vagueness allows people to weave personal meaning into cosmic riddles. Whether in 500 BCE or 2025 CE, the power of astrology lies less in accuracy and more in how humans interpret it. Another parallel is royal obsession. Babylonian kings leaned on star priests before launching wars. Greek rulers sponsored mathematicians to chart celestial movements. Today, while presidents don't openly base decisions on horoscopes, celebrities and influencers proudly do. Nancy Reagan famously consulted astrologers for her husband's schedule. Pop stars tweet about Mercury retrograde. CEOs slip into wellness retreats where astrology appears alongside yoga and mindfulness. Ancient kings bankrolled temple astrologers. Modern elites bankroll apps and personal astro coaches. The thrones have changed, but the appetite for cosmic advice hasn't. Greek mathematicians like Hipparchus and Ptolemy worked tirelessly to map the heavens, trying to pin astrology down with geometry. In a way, their legacy lingers in modern data-driven astrology apps that use planetary calculations to deliver highly customized charts. Yet, their efforts also seeded astronomy, which eventually split from astrology entirely. Here lies a key contrast. Today, we can send telescopes into orbit and measure exoplanets with laser precision. We know stars are nuclear furnaces, not divine messengers. Yet despite that knowledge, astrology thrives. That paradox, knowing it's not true, yet finding it comforting, is deeply human. The Greeks wrestled with it, and we still do. Babylonian omens warned of floods, famine, invasion. People whispered nervously in marketplaces, waiting for priests to confirm their fears. Today we scroll Twitter or news feeds, our modern omens, flashing as breaking news headlines. An eclipse doesn't terrify us scientifically, but it trends as a mystical event online, complete with horoscope tie-ins. The fear has shifted from divine wrath to algorithmic overload, but we still treat information as omens of looming trouble. Ancient citizens snickered when priests got it wrong. We meme astrologers and laugh when Mercury retrograde excuses don't pan out. Same skepticism, same humor, same dance between belief and doubt. In Greek villages, farmers asked whether the stars favored planting. Lovers asked if the heavens blessed their proposals. Today, farmers check weather apps instead of Venus, but many still whisper good vibes before sowing seeds. Lovers check Zodiac compatibility charts before dates, sometimes with dead serious conviction. Bumble and Tinder even let you list your sign as though Eros and the Zodiac merged into a matchmaking app. Babylonian kings wanted omens for war. Millennials want omens for romance. The subject shifts, but the reliance on stars lingers. So what does all this mean? It shows that astrology, ancient or modern, is less about truth than about comfort and connection. Babylonians found order in chaos. Greeks found philosophy in the stars. Today we find memes, self-reflection, and community. Online astrology communities mirror the temple courtyards of old, buzzing with chatter, laughter, and gossip about signs. Even skepticism hasn't killed it, because skepticism misses the point. Astrology is not a science, it's a social language. In Babylon, it was the language of kings and priests. In Greece, the language of philosophers and farmers. Now it's the language of tweets and DMs, shorthand for personality, identity, and shared jokes. Another modern layer is the wellness industry. Astrology is marketed today as self-care, a way to understand yourself or set intentions with the moon. This mirrors how ancient rituals sought not only prophecy, but peace of mind. Where Babylonians spilled sheep blood, we spill essential oils on yoga mats. Where Greeks asked oracles for clarity, we journal during full moons. The practices differ, but the emotional craving is identical, calm in a chaotic world. It's also striking how the visual culture of astrology echoes across time. Babylonian ziggurats were carved with star maps. Greek pottery bore constellations. Today we tattoo zodiac symbols, wear them on necklaces, and hang them as wall art. The night sky remains aesthetic as much as spiritual, a canvas for projection. Constellations are less navigation and more decoration, but they still mark identity. A Babylonian might have traced a lion on a tablet for a king. You might trace one on your Instagram bio. Different medium, same message. The stars say something about me. In technology, the shift is even more ironic. Babylonians used clay tablets. Greeks used papyrus. We use phones, but the purpose is the same. Record and share cosmic knowledge. Astrology apps are just the newest iteration of cuneiform libraries, storing millions of star charts. Instead of scribes etching all night, servers compute planetary positions instantly. Yet the thrill, the feeling of peering into fate is the same, whether you're holding clay, papyrus, or glass. Skepticism, too, has remained constant. Greek philosophers like Epicurus rolled their eyes at cosmic determinism. Roman writers mocked astrologers as hustlers. Today, scientists debunk horoscopes as pseudoscience. And yet, none of it stopped the popularity then or now. Why? Because astrology doesn't thrive on accuracy. It thrives on storytelling. People know horoscopes are broad, but they enjoy them anyway, just like citizens in Athens laughed at, but still bought predictions. It's not about proof. It's about participation. In many ways, astrology today is softer, less terrifying. A Babylonian omen could mean execution if misread. A wrong horoscope now just means an awkward date. That softening reflects progress in our relationship to fear. We've learned to hold astrology lightly as entertainment, therapy, or cultural fun, rather than life or death. Yet the continuity is what fascinates. Through all our scientific revolutions, we still look up at the stars and ask, what do they mean for me? Perhaps that's the truest comparison. Ancient stargazing wasn't really about the cosmos, it was about the human heart. The Babylonians saw fear, the Greeks saw philosophy, we see identity and fun. The stars were never speaking. It was always us, projecting, wondering, hoping. And in that sense, lying on a reed mat in Babylon or scrolling Instagram in bed, we're the same. Our eyes drift skyward, our minds spin stories, and our hearts find comfort in thinking the universe has us in mind. So next time Mercury goes retrograde and your phone glitches, think of a Babylonian priest squinting at a comet and muttering, "The gods are angry." Or picture a Greek farmer muttering, "Venus is bright time to sow." You're in a lineage stretching thousands of years, each of us tugging at the sky for answers, each of us laughing at ourselves along the way. The stars haven't changed much. It's us still gloriously, messily human trying to read them. As the hum of ancient stargazing fades, the clink of clay tablets, the rustle of papyrus, the scent of myrrh and slightly burnt goat, let your mind flop into the quiet like a scribe after a long night of omen hunting. We've wandered through the forgotten astrology of Babylon and Greece, from ziggurat omens to Athenian horoscopes, each a testament to humanity's starry obsession. Their world was a whirlwind of priests, philosophers, and is that a comet or a bad omen? Yet it was also a place where stars shaped lives with a mix of math, magic, and hope I got this right. Picture yourself now tucked into a soft bed, the air still, and the chaos of their cosmos far away, their celestial banter a distant chuckle. These astrologies, quirky and cosmic, remind us that even in history's starriest nights, people were gloriously, messily human. Let the details slip away like a lamp flickering out on a ziggurat's edge. The smoky temples, the dusty stoas, the taste of wine and clay dust air, they fade into the background, leaving only the peace of this moment and a lingering smirk. You've journeyed through a world where stars were fate's script, its stargazers' earnest quills and squinting eyes keeping its story alive. Now it's time to rest, to let go of the ancient antics and sink into calm. Close your eyes, if you haven't already, and let the gentle absurdity of history lull you into sleep, safe in the silliness of now.